of course, what I do like about that is that little clash of styles.
Yes.
We saw yesterday in DFM PSG, in terms of who was good early, who was good late. It ended up being a little bit of chaos because what you are able to succeed with in your home domestic region doesn't always translate onto this stage. So will GG be able to have that strong lead? Will they be able to generate those advantages? And we're into draft. Are you expecting any shenanigans afoot? Because we haven't seen too much crazy things.
First things first, the Lucian Nami is something that I'm looking forward to. 71% win rate from the Golden Guardian side. It's been their most successful bot lane. Stixay and Huhi has been really successful on that one. That's from the Golden Guardians camp. From GAM Esports, Levi and his Wukong is absurd. And also, if you look towards Kiaya, he should just be focused right from the pick ban. 100% win rate on his Fiora, 80% win rate on his Jax. He is the carry god within the region, and now that's what Licorice has to deal with.
Yeah, but bro, you have to put a number to Levi's Wukong. 16 games.
True.
15 of them are wins.
Disgusting.
Right? That's just exactly the word for it. Lucian, as well as Annie, Rakan, Kennen, and Jinx removed from the pool. So those bot laners hit pretty hard. I do like the Lucian ban, Stixay and Huhi. In my opinion, probably the best Lucian Nami in the LCS, at least in terms of the success that they've generated.
Yep.
Get that out the pool, get it away from them.
I know that those words coming out of your mouth,
It stings, bro.
it's tough. It's a skill thing. So when it goes further onto the tournament, if Golden Guardians are able to do well, then you have a question of whether they can kind of push that style up against tougher regions. But this is the toughest step right now in stage 1, and they're going for Zeri first pick.
Okay, what do you make of the Zeri? 10 games played for Stixay, only 4 wins, so most played, but not the most successful, at least in the LCS.
Yeah, not the most successful strategy. A lot of the times you want to pair it up with a Lulu, an Enchanter, and play front to back. That makes it so Huhi can't rotate around the map as much as he'd want to. He's a person that actually doesn't play alongside Stixay a lot. He has the lowest bot lane proximity because he wants to work with River a lot throughout the game. So this is going to change up their style just a little bit.
Okay, change up their style just a little bit. Do you know how many Tristana games Style has played this year?
Ooh,
0.
Educate me. 0.
0.
0.
Not a single one that I can see throughout the entire year. In addition, in the mid lane, Katsi, the reason I want to bring it up, Tristana mid is a thing that Perkz has been playing, did play towards the end of the LEC season, and because the LEC playoffs were right before MSI,
yeah,
maybe there's some cooking going on, so I'm not quite sure what to expect.
With GAM, there's always cooking. I remember that top esports game that happened at Worlds last year, in which their draft was just superior. It was unexpected. That is how they end up playing the game. The Nautilus first pick, 100% win rate so far. I mean, the better teams have been playing it in BLG and G2. That is true, so it might be a fake stat, but it has been a great flex. I love the hover. You have to believe it's Nidalee.
Listen, Rez, come on. We never talk hovers. We never.
I love the hover. If it's a juicy hover, I'm a fan of it.
To be fair though, I think we actually did see a Karthus hover yesterday, day before yesterday as well.
We did, and remember, this is probably just talking about that one win they had versus Top Esports off of Levi's Karthus game that just devastated them.
You know how I'm so in show mode? I shoutcasted a Karthus game in rehearsal.
Yeah.
That was not a podcast. That's why Karthus is in my head. It ends up swapping away. It's going to be the Gragas locked in right now. And now we're going to phase 2. So I'm not too surprised by how the priority picks are going. I still kind of anticipate Tristana to go bot lane.
Yes,
Give
same.
Katsu the option to counterpick that Ahri.
Same. Just stylistically for GAM Esports, I expect the Nautilus to go mid. Sure, we've seen mid Nautilus almost exclusively so far in the tournament, but also just Kati's style on this team has been facilitating. Working and playing around Levi, invading in the jungle and helping him get a lead. And so I love the fact that we're going into 4-5 without seeing a necessarily a jungle pick. The Gragas can go top, it can go jungle. I expect it to go top lane, and so it allows Levi the best matchup possible.
And of course, of the Gragas games that I have seen from GAM, 1 of them in the top lane there for Kiaya, 3 of them in the mid lane for Kati. So I haven't seen a Levi Gragas. I also, when I see a player like that, and I've seen the impact he's had in so many games, I don't want him on a Gragas.
Yeah.
I want him with something a bit more exciting so that you and I can yell about it and get hype.
Do you want a spoiler alert?
Please do.
So, most played champion for Xin has been Nautilus. 12 games, 10 wins. That's just a pick that he's gone for, even during an Enchanter meta that happened during the regular season. He's just someone that wants to start the fight for his team. So I expect that even though it's a flex, and even though when Mickey was on stage talking about, hey, it's likely going mid for his team, for GAM Esports, it's likely the support Nautilus for GAM.
Ooh, okay. And then there's the hover. Now, if an AD does get locked in, that does mean Kati's going to be going towards that Tristana.
Yeah.
It's one of the options that we have highlighted a little bit. Fiora not removed from the pool. Lulu Alistar taken out there by GAM and confirmed. So a little bit of that cooking mad scientist that we saw from Vitality, it did not work
Yes.
for Vitality. I crucially want to call that out. There was 1 game of Umiyan, and the rest of them, he kind of sucks.
And it's a little tough. When you're going Trist mid, you might get priority in your lane and be able to help out Levi. But if you're in a situation where you're not respecting a gank and River is looking towards you, that's just an easy pick with Charm, a stun there from Viego. There's a lot to worry about, but that's the set pick for Huhi. That makes it spicy. That's a pick that I remember quite well for him when he was in Academy, when he was on stage in the LCS. That's his favorite pick.
Bro, how many games? When was the last time he played? I'm gonna have to check
Been a while.
The last time that he played that set. And with that Poppy locked in, it's one of those picks that we saw. It was Broken Blade yesterday, having a great performance on. To be fair, the game was won regardless of his Poppy. I think he got one keeper's verdict in like 20 minutes. But it will be the Gwen. Okay, so now Raz. Slightly different looks. I am shocked by the double AD. I was not expecting Tristana mid from GAM. When you zoom out, how do these two team compositions actually want to win the game?
For GAM Esports, it's kiting back. They can take a flank position with Kiaya on his Gwen. I expect him to want to play on side lanes a little bit more, so he's not going to be the first one to enter the fight. It's going to be most of the time Licorice trying to hover and play 5v5s with his squad. But if GAM takes that fight, it's going to be Kati and Style peeling back, Levi helping him with the slows on Gragas and Cask as well. So I expect them to play fights a little more slowly, actually. I say that, but if they see an angle, if Huhi is way too far forward, same with River, then you can just push the button, Cask him forward, same with Zin on his Nautilus. So it's on them. They have a lot of, I guess, proactivity in how they want to take fights.
I have a little bit of nerves here for GAM because when I see this composition of Poppy, Ari, Viego, Zeri, they are just going all in. And in the event that a team fight is a little bit messy or a little bit awry, Keeper's Verdict is just going to get rid of any of those disengage shields. So I think for Levi, his Gragas barrels could be huge in trying to create space and trying to interrupt like that death ball that GG have put together.
That is very true. Actually, remembering how just yesterday Yubao's Ari played, you know, you just need one kill for a reset. So if you're just getting one kill for a reset on Ari, if Zeri's able to just shoot for free, able to get that mobility, then yeah, looks great for Golden Guardians.
And think about that, River as well as Gory gonna have the Viego and the Ari with those bits, chaining those kills together. So if the momentum is there, it could end up benefiting Golden Guardians for their debut at an international tournament. Let's take a look at the early shenanigans. Defensive start, and I'll just remind everyone once again that at least in terms of LCS performance in that run that brought Golden Guardians here, highest goal difference at 8 minutes, the top 3 forward percentage across all of their roles in terms of how far they push those lanes. And I think with these compositions, they should be able to do something similar.
That's fair. And I look at the opposite side with GAM Esports, and this is going to be a big challenge for Licorice. Kiaya has just been such a strong performer, not just domestically, internationally as a carry. Oftentimes, Levi will support him as well if he gets that goal lead. So I want to see how much of an advantage Kiaya can get in the first 8 minutes.
All right, Kiaya in the first 8 minutes then, as well as what will Stixxay do back on the international stage here. He's got that Zeri, not a champion he's found a huge amount of success with. And you can see all the keystones on your screen. In terms of these bottom lanes, it's been a while since I've seen a Zeri set. I mean, like a while.
Yeah.
I don't really know how it's going to interact because both Set and Nautilus, they kind of want to bump into one another. They're quite happy to go aggro once they get their full skills.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have Hex Flash. In level 1, you're going to expect Huhi to want to try and get a Flash E on Zen, get a good chunk on him. That's my expectation. Zen is playing pretty respectfully in the bush that's not warded, so that opportunity is not going to be able to show itself, and it's going to be a fight for level 2.
Oh, stepping forward just a little bit. Zin's waiting in the bush there.
He just doesn't want to show himself. It's a big risk.
It's also the threat, right?
Yeah.
If you get caught into that Nautilus auto and then held in place by the dredge line, well, that's going on. Level 1 trading in the top lane here. This Kiaya stepping forward on that Gwen. Does have the Ghost and the Teleport. And look, level 2 is just about to ding up here.
And a small thing, you know, as we're waiting for this to actually come out, is both Levi and River playing opposite sides of the map. River domestically doesn't have that much proximity towards the enemy jungle, doesn't want to interact with them, wants to be actually looking for lane. So this is the lane he's chosen, it seems.
The way's too far, and Huhi didn't land the punch, wasn't able to pull him backwards. So unfortunately, potential not there. Kati has got the flash, no W yet, by the way, so give a charm on it, Blade connects. Maybe there was some options, but look, these are like opportunistic placements, and the members of GAM haven't been able to be punished just yet.
Yeah, but if you check out the minimap, something big has happened. So Levi and River have actually tried to just split the side of the map. A lot of pressure now on Licorice as he's been trading up against Kiaya. That can just straight up turn into a dive that Levi can go for. In fact, that should be the play.
Okay, all right, so now let's see whether or not he can make that work. Licorice being bullied with those snips, pushed all the way underneath tower. Love the picture-in-picture from our observers, just showing River stealing away that Gromp. I would like to see the minimap in a second. Just keep an eye on where Levi is. Whenever you get those zoom-in res, I start wondering, here's Levi exactly as predicted.
There
Body
it
slam
is.
flash is available if needed. Starts to channel, connects, beautifully done. Just beautiful.
Instant. Didn't give him a chance to respond there. But now Golden Guardians has to make it worthwhile and look for a dive bot lane. Style is really low.
Yes, indeed. Teleport starting to be channeled. Katis Tristan is coming out. He's already down. River's the next target. He's committed that flash rocket jump forward there. Kati, TP to save the life. Kill secured by Style. GAM up 1,000 gold at 4 minutes.
Completely stuffed. He walking straight in to start the fight, but he was way too low and got bursted down. So GAM Esports living high right now, making it on both sides of the map a positive.
Oh, really nicely done. And the fact that both Gwen and Xayah have secured those kills is huge.
Yes.
For how those two champions want to take over. I think something we didn't have a lot of time to talk about with that Gwen, as the game plays out, can be that side lane threat. Use some of the wave clear from Trist and from Xayah. Buy time with Gragas if you need to. Kiaya could be unlocked on the sides.
Yeah, that's true. And look at this. This has to be a lot of great prep coming in from GAM Esports side. Huhi going straight through mid in that line bush that is, and then gets caught out from that one. So no surprises there. Even though Kati used his TP bot lane, that should hurt him. He has been playing respectfully, and now we're looking at the top lane play quickly. So there was a worry that the W from Poppy could stop and buff the dive. Levi flashes perfectly to make it work. And then you look at the opposite end. Looking at Huhi's HP, I didn't expect him to go down so quickly.
Nor did I at all. I mean, I was so focused on River coming in for the engage, but look, Feathers pulled back and then the tower. I mean, it's just, that burst damage is just too high.
Didn't even give him a chance to use his shield on that one, and the TP was at a perfect timing of commitment. So Golden Guardians now really suffering. They're behind. Something we already talked about, the contrast in play. GAM usually domestically starting from behind. Golden Guardians usually starting from ahead. So like this has completely changed in GAM's favor, where they have been the better team fighters usually. I want to see how that can change for Golden Guardians if they can fight back.
One thing I do like, the fact they are able to at least start off this dragon, will give them one of those opportunities to scale up towards, whether or not GAM chooses to contest the second or the third. It's one of those common sort of plays, the team that gets the kills of the gold lead early may end up conceding dragons because they can accelerate that gold lead. But for Golden Guardians, they are at least staying relevant on CS top and bottom, and there is a lead there for Glory because of Kati's TP.
Fair.
He's now behind around 16 to 18 or so.
There it is. And I'll take a little bit of a step back just to talk about how team fights would probably go for GAM. I said kite back. I think it's going to be difficult for Viego in fights in general to find anything just because of how, much of a disengage Levi could throw out there. Same can be said with Style once he has access to ultimate and already has cleanse. Like, those are things that will make it difficult for that first reset to start.
Yeah, and of course, that first reset can unlock so much more. Huhi gets booped down. Dredgeline connects onto Stixay. And they step away. Look at Levi, level 5, no flash available to him, and no support or flank here from River. No TPs either from Golden Guardian, so if GAM can connect that CC, but I like this, respect there. Huhi and Stixay immediately backing off, anticipating that some shenanigans could be up.
All right, and they have eyes on River as well, so they know that this is guaranteed. It's just going to be on Stixay and Huhi to play this one respectfully. If you know that your jungler is seen, you don't want to make an action happen here, and especially if you're already off in a deficit, so... Oh, they're angling for a play.
Go for it. Dredgeline is just sidestepped. Huhi, threatening at least, gets chunked out. Looking at the minimap. Here comes Katis Tristana.
That's the thing. Worst case scenario, they'll probably just zone Huhi and Stixay out in the next wave. Honestly, they could try it again once Kati gets the next wave back mid. Viego recognizes seeing Levi, and so he's just cutting straight through the mid lane, going straight and trying to get into his own jungle. Maybe he can defend his red buff, but the goal is to defend bot lane.
I mean, this is so good from GAM. Controlled so far, calculated.
Yes.
Moving forward, once that wave was pushed back, Kati stepped out. River will run into Levi. Blast Cone, that was really good timing, actually. Levi snuck his way, I think, just past the crowd control. The dive ends up being thwarted.
Yes.
But it is still GAM sort of dictating the pace of this game.
Exactly, and not overstepping. That's the thing. If they make the first mistake, not overstepping. A lot of people will come out of the whole conversation about the VCS and GAM Esports and expecting them to make mistakes, dive quite frequently. This is the pick.
Snip, 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 but Keeper's Verdict used to save Licorice's life. He is still even actually ahead on CS until that wave is cleared. So that is good, but that is the exact key ability that I think will be needed once Golden Guardians step forward. They have to make sure they get rid of the Gwen or get rid of that Gragas to focus those ADs.
Exactly. So that was a good call there from Licorice, but the wave being pushed in, this is a perfect timing actually for GAM technically, just because off that base for a Licorice, that should be an opportunity for Rift Herald. But with Huhi rotating up so early, it seems like it's just going to be a rush down from Golden Guardians.
I mean, definitely the case. No contest. I'm just taking a quick look at some of the early game stats because, you know, we mention it, but at least within the LCS, at 8 minutes, Golden Guardians traditionally have built up a good lead.
Yes.
Now, at 8, they are behind. Kuhi and Gory being backed up by Stick Safe, turning the damage back around. Here comes River, can break the hearts of GAM. First kill secured by Stick Safe at MSI 23, and that is a great punish onto GAM.
That was so smart from Stixxay. Ordinarily in that play, Stixxay would be the one sole bot lane, and the response from GAM Esports is to push through mid, try to come up bot lane, try and find either a dive or to defend him on the, or like push him off the wave. He recognized that and just made the counter early and fought them straight through mid.
Birdie Num Num! Style forced to use that ult to escape, has a lot of feathers down. We'll see whether or not he wants to play for that blade call. Instead, he's going to be able to escape. So ult used, and now Stixxay can pressure forward. It's a minute to go until the next Dragon is up, but that 1,000 gold lead has been caught back. And importantly for Golden Guardians, they've stemmed the bleeding. Licorice still playing defensive, but he's doing exactly what you need to do in laning phase against a Queen.
Exactly, and it's also just been overall the reason for Golden Guardians chipping at the lead of GAM has just been smarter map play. It's been Huhi rotating up a little bit earlier and River just waiting for him to link up to get Rift Herald, and then Stixxay realizing he didn't want GAM to even be given a chance to trade on that side of the map, and then going through mid. Those two things have been key to Golden Guardians coming back. And of course they have a Drake, so now they can play for Drake stacking.
They can. I mean, you know, we talked a lot about like Golden Guardians early game, but for GAM, they only got first blood in half of the games they played. They got it this game. First tower in half the games they played. We need to see who's going to take that first tower. But with the Tristana, potentially, if she's able to use that teleport, could unlock a tower very quickly. And similarly, like Heralds and Dragons, only 60%. So GAM, coming out the gates the first 10 minutes, have already shown a slightly stronger opening on the MSI stage, but that mid lane plays is what really cost them that lead.
That's true, and honestly, it's just been about subverting expectations. We've laid that expectations out in the desk, and prior to the tournament, about what GAM and Golden Guardians are so good at doing, and now not just from the draft alone, but in the gameplay it's been different. So Levi being up facilitating pick, and also the draft from GAM Esports playing towards more side lanes.
Like this fight, Raz. Do you want GAM to fight?
This should be a better fight for Golden Guardians.
Okay, let's find out. Dragon is about to be secured. Just straight up 50-50, just watch each other. Managed to get the body slam down. First kill secured for both bot laners. Another for Gory. Kati is blown up. And Raz, you called it. This should be, that damn well was a good fight for GG.
A 3-for-1 for Golden Guardians, and they didn't even need Huhi to use his W. Like, that's the most insane part, is that GAM had bursted him down perfectly, but just took the wrong fight.
I have to be honest, I was a little thrown off by the fact they just stood staring at one another and watched Dragon go down. Like, a fight didn't start. I didn't really know what to do with myself.
They're just trying for a steal, and that's actually been one of the weaknesses of GAM domestically, is that even when they're kind of behind at certain moments or not really set up for success at a fight, they'll take the fight anyways. Because ordinarily they'll outplay that situation. So you can see Levi wanted to see if he can get the smite off, but you can see Huhi instantly in position for the engage, and even though he couldn't get his W out, as I mentioned, it was the first kill that was necessary for River to get off his resets.
And of course, that set, by the way, third time that we've seen it in 2023 in the support role.
Yeah.
And the first time the Who's played it since summer 22. So it's been, 6-7 months. Big smiles on the faces of the players. I'm gonna do something a little bit off kilter. I don't know if Gulborg can hear me.
Is he here?
But I wonder if Gulborg could join us in a minute or two, because he talked about the fact that GAM like to go ARAM style in the mid lane.
Yes.
From 15 to 17 odd minutes. GAM are starting to get bullied a little. Look at this bottom lane. They're being pushed in, they're being shoved backwards. And we'll see if we can get Gulborg's attention. Maybe he can come join us and help us highlight this weird quirk of their play style.
Yeah, but while we're waiting, and if it ever happens, Style is just stuck. He's in prison. We're just waiting on the next wave, basically, to see what his sentencing is.
Oh, Schrodinger's Zaya, both dead and alive at the same time. Gets the root down, but it's onto Huhi. He tanks up the tower. Stixxay survives. The plates are secured. And Golden Guardians, 1,000 gold up, 203 on that Zeri, and 202 on Rivers Viego. That is a great bounce back from conceding the early kills.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been looking great for Golden Guardians from the 10 minutes point onwards, and how River and Huhi have been playing A, their fights, and B, how they supported and played around Stixxay.
Oh, look at that damage already. Orb Deception as well as that Everfrost combo. Tower dive opportunity, but look, It's going to be dash into the wall for Ki. Steadfast presence, buying time, flash, and keeper's verdict. Poppy, copter, connect.
Successful.
That was great. Really well done.
There it is. He chose his target wisely there too, so he's able to defend off the dive. Golden Guardians looking great, and River is just looking to threaten mid lane on Kati. Maybe he can deny the next set of wave, but the fact that he's able to get a plate solely on Gory is just looking brutal.
Well, let's take a look what happens now. I mean, look, this is I think what we were kind of anticipating from the Golden Guardians early game.
Yeah.
But despite that small hiccup, they bounced back fantastically. 2 dragons, 5 kills, a number of plates, the potential of a first tower as well. Look at that, 6 tower plates to 3.
It's been really smart, and a lot of it's just been domestically, and now we're seeing it a little bit on this stage. The trio of River, Gory, and Hu, he's setting up fights quite nicely. Gory, now that he's in this position with Ahri, can be quite liberal in how he wants to play fights. Maybe he can play on side lanes and try to threaten turrets, or he can play on flank a little bit more and just push style off and make him a little bit more uncomfortable with the range disadvantage. So, few things to look out for.
Well, 3 things to look out for. It's nearly 15 minutes. The game hasn't gone exactly as we're expecting. I can see Gulborg has come to join us.
Hey, looking for an explanation.
Listen, okay, so it's almost 15 minutes into the game. I know it's not looking good for GAM right here. I'm looking at all 5 Power Rangers going mid in a bit, but for now, we might see some other action.
Why do you think they do it? Because right now, GAM, they've obviously...
It's in their instinct. It is their blood, okay? The mid lane calls for them!
That's it. 1, 2, 3 members.
15 minutes!
It's on the way. They're starting to commit. I actually cannot believe you're almost there. But Gwen and Zaya are taking the side, so you got another minute and a half before it plays out.
Wait for the reset, okay? They're resetting now. You can see the AD carry movement for style as well. Let's see where they go after. It may be disrupted just because there's a Drake up in less than a minute, but we'll see.
I mean, I love the fact that you're at it here. It's like the opposite of Caster's Curse. The fact you're able to come in there. Maybe it's because originally you took the analyst desk position, so we need to try that more frequently.
I mean, look, the reason that I wanted to bring Gulborg up is just, it's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard an analyst in a decade say.
Yeah?
And it's a strange but you showed the kill map, like, proof is in the pudding.
I had like 9 replays, and production told me we can only get you 4 at best.
Raz, that is like 4-ish people. I do think the Dragon is throwing off the timing a little, but they were grouping, they were pushing mid to then head towards that Dragon.
But they've been countered. The fact that they're going up against Nayram.
Oh!
What can they do?
We should just call it Murder Bridge then and see how it plays out.
Yes, we've been molded in the darkness of just staying through mid lane.
Oh, hold up here. There is a Herald in the mid lane. We could see more members come around in just a bit. Could be a fight into a Drake, but for now, I think Golden Guardians with that mid lane pressure, they're going to reclaim the vision around the Drake, and they're going to pick up their 3rd Drake, putting them on soul point. But look at the mid lane. We still have 4 members here.
I mean, look, I do think as well, it's like, it is one of these like contested picks as Licorice will once again get a fantastic keeper's verdict. Gulborg, I think as we're going to set up for this next Dragon fight, I want to say thank you so much. That was a great observation.
I was going to say, it's past the 15-minute mark. I'm leaving again. It's in your hands now.
Later. Please say thank you to Law for letting us borrow you for like 5 minutes. All right, so back in game now. 2,000 gold, lead 3 Dragons at 16 minutes. Raz, every LCS fan is going to be pretty happy about the state of the game right now. Golden Guardians in their debut game on stage, despite one small stumble early, they've really answered well. And in particular, this Licorice Poppy pick, it has defended and absorbed so much pressure.
And he deserves credit for it. That second dive, I mean, the first dive was impossible to really deal with how well it was played out. Second dive, the moment he had access to ulti, just quite impossible for Levi. And it has to feel frustrating for GAM Esports because domestically, they're quite, used to dealing with bloodiness. They're quite used to dealing with teams taking fights to them. In fact, oftentimes, instead of trading sides of the map when they're behind, GAM Esports will defend the play and take the fight anyways. But it's been Golden Guardian saying, I don't think so. Gory on Ahri can ult away, pass flash, worst case scenario. Same could be said with River if he's in a tough spot, and we've seen a lot of times with Licorice really defending pressure, so it's just tough, man.
It really, really is tough, and for GAM, now they're going to need to use all of those disengage tools to their advantage. The Buster Shot, the Feather Storm, because they're going to start getting dived. I mean, look at this. Golden Guardians, 1, 2, 3, 5-man stack towards the top. KT is trying to take that bottom tower, does so. And while the top tower is going to be traded.
And this is smart from GAM Esports, because their comp, as I mentioned, has to play through sides, and they're defending the play on Kiaya. Zin and Levi doing a great job to make it so he can at least be there and not die and fall. He can maybe farm up a little bit, take some experience, worst case scenario, while Kati has been farming on the opposite side of the map. So they're behind, but they're not out. It's not an impossible game, but they must fight the next Drake. The Drake Soul is there for Golden Guardians, and it's favorable to them.
I mean, they have to fight it better than they did the previous Drake.
Yeah.
You know, like, just standing, staring, waving at them. I mean, I'll acknowledge Huhe and Jin obviously did initiate the fight on the north side of the river. But both junglers just stared at one another. It's like, all right, who's going to hit Smite?
Who's going for it?
Who's going to get it?
And meanwhile, on who he's like, I got the fight. I'm ready for this positioning. He's thinking about the fight while River's thinking about the Smite. So it's a nice kind of situation to be in. I will say for GAM Esports, ideally, if you're kind of falling behind but you want to take the next fight, you're just trying to farm the next member who has Flash. Sadly, all of Golden Guardians will have Flash next Drake when it does spawn up. But I would look for stick safe. You can get a good situation, a Gragas Cask or an ulti from Nautilus on him, then that could be a point of attack.
I mean, look at that. Kati got what, four autos onto Licorice. Kraken Slayer for both him as well as Zaya. They need a little more time. I think 3 items each is ideally where these both ADs could shred through that front line.
Yes.
Tristan and Zaya are particularly good at them and adept. And if they've got the mobility tools, they will be able to have enough time to get enough autos down to burn through the front line. So there's part of the voice in the back of my head saying there's a little bit of a timer on Golden, but there's great scaling on both sides. It will come down to execution, of course. But I do like the range. I do like the mobility or the disengage tools that the two carries of GAM have.
It will be a little bit tough for Style because just from a front line perspective, Zin and Levi, quite fragile, especially with Levi, of course, going AP as you should.
Yeah.
So it's going to be on Style to recognize that Gorisbreg kind of threatened him on the side lane, or at least on the flanks, and that Huhi could just straight up send Levi or Zin right onto his head, and he has to blow his ulti early. So while that's the case, the start of the fight is going to be a little hard, and it's going to be reliant on Kiaya. If he can get a good enough chunk on Licorice, top side, as I'm mentioning that, Kati's in threat.
Yes, he is. Gonna need to buy so much time. He's gonna be able to rocket jump for now. Get smacked in the place by the King of Undead, and that's just easily done. Teleport secured. A minute to Dragon. 40-second death timers. The rest of the members of GAM grouping up towards the top lane. Frankly, that was just an easy punish from Golden Guardians, taking advantage of Kati's positioning.
And it's just such a smart ward to have on the side lane, recognizing that Kati's been doing that for the past 5 minutes.
Yes.
And so it's like, great, wait for him to push, set up around him with the vision that we have, TP right on top of his head.
Very nicely done. He manages to push their ward line forward. So for the next Dragon for the Soul, and we're playing for an Infernal Soul as well, which is going to be great for, well, both sides, obviously. But a 22-minute Soul and a 2,000 gold lead. Golden Guardians are in absolute position to take over game 1. They're interrupting the backs as well, delaying this. So Teleport not coming forward. There's that 5-man stack in the middle lane, grouping up.
Where's
10
GB
seconds
when you
to
need
Dragon.
him?
Hey, listen, GB was right. That previous Dragon timing just messed it up. Golden Guardians got those timers on the Dragons ticking quicker than they do in the BCS. The fight is starting out. Initiation. Showstopper goes forward. So much burst onto Levi, and it's Golden Guardians pushing forward. Keeper's verdict sends Kiaya flying. Dash forward for Gory. The Orb Reception is out. That's a double for Zeri. 3 members of GAM are down, and Golden Guardians lose 1, game 3, and look for Soul.
Man, the martyr Hui, willing to take the bullet for the team to get the great fight that he had there. And so that's going to be a guaranteed Soul for Golden Guardians because they were willing to take that first punch.
Who is he? Call him the GOAT.
There we go.
Really nicely done there. Hui initiates that fight so well. And GAM, like you said, so difficult to execute. That composition, they were just caught a little bit unawares. Both ADs forced to retreat, so they didn't get time to get those autos out.
And I was trying to figure out how the fight was going to start. The whiff from Gory's E, but the Huhi W, yes, blows Styles' ulti early, and so it makes it so much easier for Gory and Stixate to take a front-to-back fight, knowing that they can just jump straight on top of Styles' head. So great job there. It would have been a little bit harder if Kiayo has been in the fight, but honestly, Licorice has been on point.
And also, if memory serves, did Cuddy just bust a shot in that bottom lane since really got TP'd on?
Ooh, don't remember.
I didn't actually catch it in that previous fight, but it looked like it was not available on the Observer client. So that's the Soul now secured, and Golden Guardians have systematically taken down GAM Esports. They're setting up for the Baron. the lead
Yes.
feels so much bigger than the gold shows on screen.
It really does, and it feels like it's gone a lot to the prep. I've talked about the prep early for GAM Esports and how they got their first advantage in the first 4 minutes of the game, but Golden Guardians prep has been great here. It reminds me, 2014, 2013, when we saw a lot of kind of side lane meta. We saw great wards on side lanes. I thought GAM Esports in this game did a great job putting a control ward in that dot bush really close to their second tier turret to just stop those wards from happening. Golden Guardian said, actually, it's going to be right out of range. Let's see if a 50-50 comes up here.
I don't think it will. Once again, another fantastic use of that Poppy ultimate. Baron is secured. The showstopper is dropped. The haymaker is popped.
Bang!
With a heroic charge, a flash, a dash, and a smash. Golden Guardians ace GAM, get Baron, and are now setting their sights at the Nexus.
Way too clean for Golden Guardians. It's just a big surprise. Coming into this tournament, I was like, oh, this is as tough as you can get of a bracket going up against GAM Esports, and then if they were to take them down, you still have to go up against BLG. I'm not even thinking about that because GAM is a team you have to respect. They respected him to the nth degree today.
I mean, it's one of the games I kind of expected there to be more skirmishes and more fighting across the board, but what we saw was GAM taking an early punch and landing it.
Yep.
And then Golden Guardians just having play after play after play, systematically picking apart GAM, playing and prioritizing the right lanes, and I just think taking advantage of whenever GAM showed a made a play on one side of the map, GG pushed something else.
Yes, it's been relentless as well. Just taking a look at this replay, my 2 highlights here is the Licorice ulti to completely bop Gragas out of the fight and not make it a 50-50. And then you look at Huhi to be the one that starts the fight yet again. Those 2 things make it completely easy for Golden Guardians to secure the Baron and secure the fight.
Really well played. And it's one of those fights where you can see it play out. You just know it's going to be a slaughter. And it is so good to see the reactions. Golden Guardians opening up their MSI campaign with a dominant game 1. 7,000 gold up. That's a 4,600 gold Baron power play, which is fantastic.
It's disgusting. Honestly, I liked what GAM Esports did when they were behind. They tried to play through sides. They tried to play away from Golden Guardians' game plan, but they were just denied. That's one thing. Same goes for what they tried to look for a dive bot lane. They were denied. And I wonder if they're going to get denied once more. Gonna have to see if this dive ends up happening.
Excuse you, Levi. I heard that one under the tower. I mean, look, the Tristana mid did not have, I think, the influence or the impact that GAM were hoping for.
Yeah.
I think the bottom lane and River, the way he moved around the pressure and responded to where Levi was ganking was great. So I do want to see what GAM do in this next game, because right now, he's looking very unlikely they can defend. I mean, Kiaya is in the top lane. Teleport not available. 1 inhibitor's down, 2 inhibitors are down. The LCS's second seed is now looking at the Nexus turret. Rocket jump to safety. Charm will not connect. Licorice is chasing Kiaya, taking that blast going over the wall. Baron empowered minions still hammering away, starting to clear out the cannons from GAM. Nexus is now the focus, and Glory flashes away from that dredge line. He's going to escape for now, but Golden Guardians take nearly everything in the base, force Kiaya back. Well, they'll wait for those supers to move into the base, and then they can look. 1.5 minutes for Elder if you want to play it safe, and with that Elder, that's potentially an avenue if they don't just want to push in with the supers.
Exactly, and if I look at GAM's perspective here, yes, it's tough, but you have to plan ahead. Baron coming in 2 minutes time, maybe you can get a nice 50-50, but that means you have to push into your red side jungle and start chipping at those wards that exist. Right now, I think they've done a decent job. The only ward that's available is that one in tri-bush there that River is right next to. So it is possible, but they have to recognize if River starts to retake that jungle, they have to fight back.
I mean, they do. And for GAM, this is one of the games where they had a deficit of 14 and were unable to bring it back.
Yeah.
If memory serves, with a goal deficit of 14 minutes, GAM Esports are still 18-8 in the VCS, if I recall correctly. But it's a phenomenal comeback rate.
Yeah.
I don't think this composition was going to have the tools maybe to lean into that, in my opinion.
Yes.
They fell behind. They weren't able to deal with Pop. He's there, running at them. Oh, and Set, of course.
Yes.
So unfortunately for them, compositionally, it was just going to be so difficult to walk that tightrope. And that's why they find themselves down nearly 10,000 with their entire base in tatters.
And that's going to be some of the criticism you'll probably hearing from some of the regional representatives, that this isn't the style of GAM Esports. This is not them playing towards Levi. This is not them playing towards a team fight composition. So want to see if there's anything happening here. Just checking out the fog.
We'll find out. Charm goes wide. Ultra Shock Laser. Showstopper, and look at that AoE. 1, 2, 3 already secured. A double for Gory. This is bloody for Golden Guardians. They ace GAM once more and turn their sights to the Nexus. 19 kills, 28 minutes. The Soul, and the first win for the LCS and MSI. The first international victory for Golden Guardians.
What a great way to kick off their first international appearance for Golden Guardians. A statement game there. Huhi, to me, was the playmaker.
Agreed.
He was huge.
Agreed.
Like, we talked about it a little bit, the fact that he hadn't played set all split long.
Yep, since summer last year.
But Trevor, I say Trevor.
That's good, that's my name, bro.
No, I meant Stixay. Stixay's talked about it in interviews. He's talked about how, like, hey, if Huhi talks about a pick that he hasn't picked throughout the split, or maybe haven't picked in practice, you just trusted him. He just goes for something new. 18 unique picks throughout this split, and you just add another one to that list.
That is phenomenal. I love seeing the reactions. Golden Guardians ecstatic as they walk off stage. The one thing I will ask you though, in terms of the draft, I did not expect that from GAM at all. It's not the look I was anticipating. Like, first time Gragas that I've seen this year, first time Tristan of Katsi that I've seen all year.
Yeah.
Is that an indication that the team is trying something new? Or is it a bigger hint of how the meta is shaping up? Because bot lanes like teamfight type comps has kind of been the flavor that we've been seeing.
I think they tried their hand at flexing, recognizing that Golden Guardians would do the same with those exact same picks.
Yeah.
Tristana especially, the Gragas is another one. They tried to play to their opponents, and I think they'll have a different angle going into the next game. Absolutely, they should.
I wonder if they'll go back to what's worked for them within their domestic leagues, within the VCS. GAM Esports got really, really controlled, and it's one of those strange games, unlike what we saw out of BLG earlier, where they accelerated the tempo, they completely crushed. It was like action, action, action. This was really calculated. It was really calm. And for a team's debut, matches on stage, obviously there's a wealth of experience in the players. That looked really good from Golden Guardians.
Exactly. I would say the first things that comes to mind from the side of Golden Guardians, River got to play exactly how he wants. Split map, so he can play a lot more of a surgical game. You look at Huhi as well, being able to link up with him and make plays. That's one thing. For GAM Esports, a change that I want to see. Play towards that carry action, or even just a Wukong that has been so successful for him, so they can take the fights that's worked for them throughout the split. That's something that they could play towards. And also, hey, Levi loves to invade and make it a 1v1 to River. So give him that opportunity so he can actually do that. So maybe they can guarantee a better level 1,